and the village's board of trustees after multiple members did not attend tonight's meeting.
I'm about to address some things as supervisor. There will be no comments. There will be anything that is beneath.
Tiffany Henyard's world is unraveling, and this time, it's not just rumors or whispers behind closed doors. Explosive footage, allegedly leaked by members of her own team, has thrown her already embattled political career into even deeper turmoil. This shocking revelation has fueled speculation that Henyard's closest allies are now turning against her, leaving her in a state of panic. Whether this turn of events is karma or a calculated attempt to remove her from power, one thing is certain: her days of acting invincible are quickly coming to an end. The self-proclaimed Queen of Dalton is now at the center of a growing controversy, with scandals seemingly following her at every turn. True to form, Henyard recently escalated the crisis with actions that appeared to invite more scrutiny rather than diffuse the mounting tension. After a board of trustees meeting was canceled due to a lack of attendance, Henyard made a bold and controversial move, pushing forward with key decisions in the absence of the trustees. She unilaterally appointed a new village administrator and attorney, a move widely perceived as an attempt to sidestep opposition and secure her rapidly diminishing authority. This defiant, some would even say reckless, approach to leadership did not go unnoticed. The fallout from these decisions was swift. The Illinois Attorney General's office issued a condemnation of Dalton for multiple violations of the Open Meetings Act, citing infractions in both June and July. In response, the office also launched an investigation into Henyard's administration. Local residents have become increasingly vocal in their frustration, accusing Henyard of running the village like a private fortress. Public meetings now take place behind locked doors, and many in Dalton feel deliberately excluded from the very government processes meant to serve them. Henyard has defended these extreme security measures by pointing to an anonymous, sarcastic letter sent to her mother's house. The letter, written in blue marker, insulted both Henyard and her mother by calling them losers. While undeniably mean-spirited and unprofessional, the letter hardly constituted a credible threat. Nevertheless, Henyard and her administration used it as justification for ramping up security at Village Hall. This has led many to suspect that these measures are less about safety and more about maintaining her grip on power. Critics argue that Henyard's claims about security concerns are merely a thinly veiled attempt to mask her growing paranoia and desperation. The dysfunction within Dalton's government continues to spiral out of control, and residents are increasingly fed up with the chaos surrounding her leadership. Attendance at recent public meetings has dwindled, with fewer than 20 people showing up for events that Henyard had advertised as major announcements. This lack of public engagement suggests a growing sense of exhaustion with Henyard's ongoing controversies, as many believe she prioritizes spectacle over substantive governance. Yet, rather than stepping back to reassess her approach, Henyard appears intent on diving even deeper into the turmoil. Her latest controversial move, the appointment of a new village administrator and attorney, seems less about solving Dalton's problems and more about consolidating her own power. These strategic placements are seen as an effort to replace potential challengers with loyalists who will protect her increasingly fragile administration. The return of Keith Freeman, a central figure in Henyard's inner circle, has raised particular concern. Once her right-hand man, Freeman is rumored to possess deep knowledge of Henyard's financial dealings and political maneuvering. His reinstatement is widely viewed as an effort to shield Henyard from the growing legal and political pressure closing in around her. While Henyard's reshuffling of key personnel may be a calculated attempt to fortify her position, critics see it as nothing more than a desperate bid to hold on to power as both her allies and the walls around her begin to crumble. What makes Henyard's situation even more bizarre is her unwavering defiance in the face of mounting legal and public scrutiny. Despite the Illinois Attorney General's office condemning Dalton for blatant transparency violations, Henyard has refused to change course. Instead of adopting a more cautious or conciliatory approach, she continues to alienate the public, embracing an increasingly autocratic leadership style that leaves little room for collaboration or trust. Dalton residents, who once held hope that Henyard's leadership would bring meaningful change, now find themselves grappling with the fallout of her erratic decisions. The town remains mired in financial and administrative disarray, plagued by allegations of misusing taxpayer funds, ongoing legal challenges, and now damaging leaks from within her own ranks. Henyard's actions resemble those of a leader in free fall, desperately attempting to reinforce her position through increasingly dramatic and controversial decisions. However, these calculated moves are overshadowed by the growing legal investigations and public discontent that threaten to bring her reign to an abrupt end. Whether she can withstand the mounting pressure or if Dalton's residents will finally demand a change remains to be seen. But one undeniable fact emerges. The once unshakable grasp Henyard held over Dalton is slipping fast.
10 days of notice. 10 days of notice to the public. Certainly notice to the mayor. You know what they did?
Tiffany Henyard's once formidable grip on power continues to crumble as scandals, questionable decisions, and internal betrayals plague her leadership in Dalton. Once widely supported, Henyard's authority has sharply declined, with her desperate attempts to maintain control raising more eyebrows than fostering genuine support. Her efforts to push through last-minute appointments to consolidate power have only amplified the turmoil. These decisions have now been declared invalid by interim Mayor Jason House, further undermining her already fragile position. House was blunt in his assessment, stating that the lack of a quorum at the meeting meant all actions taken were illegal, regardless of Henyard's insistence otherwise. Despite this, Henyard doubled down, accusing her critics of manufacturing drama and even alleging that some audience members were planted to disrupt the proceedings. However, the cracks in her control are undeniable. Her inner circle continues to shrink, and former allies such as Keith Freeman find themselves caught in the unraveling of her administration. Freeman, once a trusted confidant and village administrator, is now embroiled in controversy and legal peril. His relationship with Henyard soured as rumors spread that he might be cooperating with the FBI. At one point, Henyard allegedly attempted to fire Freeman after suspecting that he was turning against her, sparking a dramatic fallout between the two figures whose partnership had once defined her leadership. This betrayal was compounded by Freeman's own legal troubles, including allegations of unlawful retaliation against workers he allegedly dismissed for not supporting Henyard. Additionally, Freeman faces a federal indictment for bankruptcy fraud, accused of concealing assets and misrepresenting his income. Despite their shared history of bending the rules, Henyard wasted no time distancing herself from Freeman, attempting to sever ties before their association could further tarnish her already precarious position. Freeman's legal troubles have become a lightning rod for criticism, with accusations of misconduct that hindered township operations. He has faced growing backlash from within the administration, as well as lawsuits accusing him of retaliatory firings in both Dalton and Thornton Township. Even so, when Henyard attempted to remove Freeman from his role within the township, the Board of Trustees resisted. Trustee Chris Gonzalez pointed out that no official documentation had been presented for Freeman's firing or promotion, making any such action unlawful. Gonzalez made it clear that any legitimate personnel changes would require board approval, adding to the perception of Henyard's disorganized and overreaching governance. Despite Freeman's loyalty to Henyard over the years, he was discarded as soon as he became a liability, further highlighting Henyard's increasingly isolated position. The spectacle of Freeman's bankruptcy fraud charges and his alleged efforts to conceal assets has brought further embarrassment to Henyard's already beleaguered administration. Combined with her high-profile stunts, such as bolstering security at Village Hall over a sarcastic letter, Henyard's leadership has done little to inspire confidence. The letter, deemed a weak excuse for her extreme security measures, symbolized the paranoia consuming her and the growing disconnect between her and the community she once claimed to champion. As federal investigators close in, Henyard's fragile hold on power continues to unravel. Her actions increasingly appear driven by a mixture of desperation and denial, as she attempts to reshuffle her administration and tighten control, only for these moves to backfire and exacerbate the already volatile political climate in Dalton. In distancing herself from Freeman, Henyard likely hoped to sidestep the fallout from his mounting legal issues and avoid deeper scrutiny of her own connection to his misconduct. However, her inability to secure the backing of the Board of Trustees or maintain the loyalty of her closest allies has left her looking vulnerable and disorganized. Freeman's downfall, rather than diverting attention away from Henyard, has only reinforced the public perception of a leadership mired in controversy and self-preservation. As Dalton faces an uncertain future, its residents are left grappling with the fallout from an administration plagued by infighting, scandal, and corruption. Henyard, once a figure of authority, now stands increasingly isolated as legal and political pressures mount. With allies like Freeman tarnished by scandal and internal dissent threatening to fracture her remaining support, Henyard's efforts to weather the storm appear increasingly futile. The question remains, can she survive this latest wave of challenges, or is her troubled tenure nearing its inevitable conclusion?
That's correct. We spoke with one of the plaintiffs who says that she was fired for not being a yes man, for not.
Tiffany Henyard's once firm grip on power is rapidly unraveling as scandals, questionable decisions, and internal betrayals continue to plague her leadership in Dalton and Thornton Township. Despite her relentless efforts to maintain control, ranging from severing ties with former allies to employing dubious legal tactics, the cracks in her administration have become impossible to ignore.